In this episode I'm making a P38 Lightning steering yoke, complete with hand grips and machine gun buttons, loosely based on photos I found on the web. As you can see, they seem to vary slightly. These are both P38, hubs are slightly different. The real ones also had triggers here and here. This is the back, this is a reverse, so you presumably they were for firing things, and some of them had extra buttons that kind of added in, clamped on here and also here and here, clamped on to this section. But for now the challenge was to make something that looked similar, that worked using tubing and tube bends that I could actually get hold of. Diameter tube I could get with a 135-degree bend online was these, and in fact you can see they're just totally not really right. Even if I cut them down, the curve is too big. I need a tighter angle, so it's like a tighter draw angle. So I couldn't actually find them any, in fact. But what I did find on eBay was a set of drop handlebars for a racing bike. Now these are quite old. It was just luck I got these. They're made of steel. Most of them are aluminium now. And also, if you look at that part of it, it's a tight bend. So you've got to use your imagination a bit. So if you imagine it's all cut down, there you are. Imagine that, each side welded on. That might just work. Well, this is maybe a bit more promising. See, I've cut that there, and that can go there, or maybe like that, just turned in a little there. How about that? And then we use a bit of rod across here. See, that's pretty close to what I'm looking for. So the first thing I had to do was cut a hole in the center of this disc, and then drill some bolt holes through. There'll be some spacers here. Yeah, but that all works right. So now I've got to weld my steering yoke to this central disc. That's my starting point. These are the versions I'm using as my inspiration, particularly that one. There's another similar one. It's a little bit more complicated. You've got a bend and then a tighter bend there. So that's definitely a P38 Lightning, so let's go for that. So I'm thinking something like this. If you notice on the P38, these are turned in a bit more than that. Basically they've got to, not like that, they lean in slightly. If you look at this one, which might be a P38, but I'm not 100% sure, doesn't lean in quite as much as this one. So I'm actually closer to this layout if I do it like this. If I have them down further, then it doesn't look quite right, because now these are both straight up. So it's a bit of a trade-off, but something like that, it's pretty close to that. And then this rod, I'm thinking I'll literally just bend a V in here, and then I can weld it straight on there. So you can see, you imagine that like that, bent down with a V to there. So it's not quite as deep a V as on this one, it's more like that one. So what I'm making is a cross between these two. I could 3D print the hand grips, possibly something more like that, with the front and the back half. Or I could do what I was originally going to do, was wrap it in string like in vintage cars. So I'll think about that, but first I've got to get this metalwork done. Now as soon as I start to tack weld this around here, it's going to start to twist and warp. So I've made this pegboard thing. with various, this, so these butt up to here, then various screws, strategic points to hold it down, and then cable ties here and here. So I've got a sporting chance of being able to start welding this and have it stay in shape. Apparently the rule of thumb current setting on the welder in amps is the thickness of the metal in inches. So if this metal is 1.5 mil thick here, this plate's 3 mil thick, so let's say 1.5 mil, what would we get here? 0.059 inches, so you'd set it to 59 amps. Let's see what 2 would give us. 2 mil thick, 78 amps, so somewhere between 59 and 78 might be about right. I'll probably try, I don't know, 62 or something like that to begin with and see how it goes. Right, ready to go. No turning back now. Well, it's going okay, apart from all the charred smouldering wood, which is what helps to have a bit of a water spray around. Done as much as I can, so now I've got to undo it and then go around the back and hope it doesn't twist. Hope I've got enough weld down to hold it in position. Oh well, not doing too badly. Basically just got to weld all the way along there now. Well, that's not too bad. Now I'm cutting a ring off here, which will go here. So I've marked it with tape, and I'm cutting it by hand with a hacksaw to make sure I get it absolutely parallel, so it's not sloping at all. I'll just work my way around really slowly. So there we go. So that's just a little bit thicker than these tubes, so that will go there and weld on. Once I've cut grooves out to accept this, I think I'm going to run the bar at the top, just bounce it off here and weld it onto the side of this ring. That'll probably end up the neatest way to do it, to be honest. Slowly getting there. So I've welded around there now. Not too bad, even though I say so myself. That's the back and that's the front. Right, I've just printed this central boss in like a really tough plastic, and you see that will fit in there really well. So to get rid of this line defect, what I do is I put it in a chamber full of acetone vapor for about an hour. I'll show you that now. So what I've got here is a glass dome. You can get them from like craft shops. They're for putting flower displays in or something. The orange stuff is a piece of felt. It's held on with magnets inside and out. You soak the felt with 100% acetone, not the 10% that's used for removing nail varnish. It's got to be 100%. See? I put the dome over an upturned plate like this, so if any liquid drains down, it tends to not collect around the model in a sea of acetone. It dribbles down here into this plate. That's the correct way around. So I shine a torch in, you'll see that it's started to go shiny. So that's actually sticky to the touch now, so I'm going to leave it alone for a few hours and then see how well it looks and how it fits. So I've just etch primered this, and now I'm going to spray it with some black, and then I've got some 3D printed hand grips which are going to go on there. I've made some hand grips each side. So these were done in left and right halves, sorry, front and rear halves, and then glued together. So obviously you've got to have a cutout for this. Again, they were done on my 3D printer. I've used the acetone vapor polishing method I showed you in a previous video, and then this is the center cap. So you see there's my 4 bolt holes. Center cap will go on there. There's a recess here about 2mm deep. That will take an aluminium disc with maybe something engraved on it or something like that. I'm not sure yet, but it's looking pretty good. So that's what they look like with the buttons in. So I'm pretty pleased with that. That's actually turned out better than I thought it would. I've got my hub here, splined hub with 4 holes drilled, 4 bolts, 4 nuts, 4 aluminium spacers to take out this gap here.